Hey kids, it's Dr. Runts with your Objective 22 lesson, where we are going to talk about how to calculate two numbers, one being in scientific notation and one in standard form, or I suppose they could both be in scientific notation, to find how many times larger one thing is than another. And when we are working through these, we are going to use the operation of division. And we're also going to be using the same exact steps that we used in the previous lesson, Objective 21, and how to multiply and divide numbers that are in scientific notation. So it is pretty important that you understand what you're doing with that before you jump into this one. And as always, do my best with these lessons to make sure that they're great for you at home, but they're not perfect. And so other teachers might have a better way to do this, and that's totally fine. This is just for my kids at home in case they need a little refresher or some homework help. So we are going to use some word problems today, and I thought that I'd use some fun ones. And so there is this cat, and his name is Maru, and he lives in Japan, and he has a ridiculous number of subscribers. He has over 600,000 subscribers. And I didn't even know what subscribers were until recently. And so at one point I only had 60 subscribers, which I think that's weird that there's that many people who care to follow along with what's going on. But actually this information is outdated. That was last year. Maru now has 7.5 times 10 to the 5th power, and I have over 150. 156 to be exact. Okay, so we're going to alter this just a little bit just so we can stay accurate, I suppose. So when we are calculating how many times larger one thing is than another, we'll again use division, where the larger part will be in the numerator and the smaller part will be in the denominator. Again, there's other ways that you can do this. This is the way that we are going to go with it in our class. I find that it is a little bit simpler for my students. So it says, Maru the cat has, let's see, almost, no, I don't know that we care, almost 7.5 times 10 to the 5th subscribers on YouTube. Miss Rones has over 150. How many times more subscribers does Maru the cat have than Mrs. Rones? So what is the big deal in here? Well, Maru's the big deal. Maru's big. Mrs. Rones is not. Okay. So let's find the number that is connected with Maru. Maru the cat has 7.5 times 10 to the 5th. 7.5 times 10 to the 5th will be in our numerator. And the number that goes with me is 150. Great. And so the rule is when we're dividing numbers in scientific notation, first step is that both numbers need to be in scientific notation. So the equivalent of 150 in scientific notation is what? Must be one digit followed by a decimal. 1.5 times 10, 1, 2 times 10 squared. Because 10 squared is 100, 100 times 1.5 is 150. Okay, and now for division, we can divide the left side. So 7.5 divided by 1.5 is 5. 1.53, 4.5, 6, 7.5. Hopefully you could do that in your head. Times 10, and then we have the same base, so we can subtract the exponents. 5 minus 2 is 3. Now I do want this to be in the best scientific notation form, so I'm going to do 5.0 times 10 cubed. Now that doesn't really mean anything to me. 5.0 times 10 cubed. You told me that a cat is 5.0 times 10 cubed more popular than an adult. That doesn't really help me a lot. So I'm going to put this into standard form. It was 5.0, 1, 2, 3 places to the right, 5,000. Okay, so that means this cat is 5,000 times more popular than me. That makes more sense. So with your word problems, you'll want to likely convert your answers back into standard form so you can make sense of them. So here we go. Maru the cat has 5,000 times more subscribers than Mrs. Rounds. Wow. It's like for every one of mine, there are 5,000 for this cat. It's a very popular cat. Okay, let's talk about another situation that involves a very small number. So Maru was a very big number. Let's talk about a small number like a mosquito. So a mosquito weighs on average, I did look this up, on average 3.0 times 10 to the negative sixth. So we have a negative exponent, so we know this is going to be a decimal. Kilograms. Mr. Rones, who weighs over 100 kilograms, hates mosquitoes. How many times bigger is Mr. Rones than a mosquito, the thing that he dislikes so much? So again, we're going to do the big over small. Okay, what's the bigger thing here? Well, of course, a person is much bigger than a mosquito. Okay, and now we can set it up by putting the corresponding numbers in their places. So this works because they're both in kilograms. If they were not both in kilograms, we would have to adjust this. But lucky for us, it's in kilograms for both. So here's Mr. Rones, and the mosquito is here. Okay. Now remember, the rule is that both numbers need to be in scientific notation. So this is the same as 1.0 times 10 squared. And I'm so sorry. It occurs to me, so sorry, that this one also has a typo. I have corrected the ones for my students in my classroom. I just have the wrong one on my worksheet now. So if you're one of my students, you'll have an updated one. Sorry about that. Over 4.0 times 10 to the negative sixth. Great. Can you guys hear the train? I live too close to trains. Okay, so now we can do 1 over 4. 1 divided by 4, or 1/4 is 0.25 times 10 to the, subtract these, so 1 minus negative 6. I said 1, I meant to say 2. 2 minus negative 6, or 2 plus 6 is 8. And we can put this in the correct form. 1 digit followed by a decimal. So this side got bigger, so this side gets smaller. There we go. So Mr. Rones is 2.5 times 10 to the 7th power bigger than a mosquito. But that's not very meaningful, is it? So let's convert it. It was 2.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, now it makes more sense. He is 25 million times larger than mosquito. All right, and that makes his fear kind of silly. But I don't want to undermine that. People have fears. Okay, so you had some homework to do, and each of these situations are very similar to what we did in our lesson, where you will use division again, where you'll have the the big value over the small value. When you are finished, make sure you label your answer. So this one's about the world population in the United States. So your answer should be something like, the world is, whatever the number is, times larger than the United States. Exactly like what we did at the bottom of these pages. Make sure you have a complete label, not just a number. Okay? All right, that lesson's short and sweet. I hope it was helpful. If not, you are always welcome to email me. You never are trouble. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in class. Bye.